folks, welcome to Follow the Leader, a podcast focused on telling character-driven stories through the use of GM-less tabletop games where we can all take the lead. You can find us on Tumblr at FTLcast and at FTLcast.com. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/FTLcast. Today we're playing Things Eldritch and Terrifying by S. Gates, otherwise known as me. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. This is a game about eldritch terrors and temptation. There exist many terrible creatures beyond our mortal ken, which prowl the universe looking for new things to conquer, to own, to devour. They lurk beyond the edges of our plane, but that doesn't mean they don't see us. They covet our world. They want to take it as theirs, but there is a locked door between their plane of existence and ours. The way to overcome this is simple. Convince someone on the other side to open the door and let them in. I'm August, and you can find me on Tumblr at Strange Harpy and on Blue Sky at Harpydora, and my pronouns are they, them. Playing with me today we have Corey.
Hey folks, my name's Corey. My pronouns are he, him, and you can find me at cohost.org/missynim.
We also have Jade.
Hello, I'm Jade. You can still find me most places on the internet at jadeoxidrose, and I'm using they, them pronouns.
Our lines, things we absolutely do not want to see, are homophobia and transphobia, racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, violence against children and animals, sexual assault, domestic violence or intimate partner violence, unwanted pregnancy, and plagues and pandemics. Our veils, things which we're fine with addressing but will just fade to black on, are steamy situations, graphic descriptions of bodily harm, and terminal illness. Content warnings for this game may include horror and body horror. Other content may be warned for in play and in the show notes. Now that we've got all that, let's get started.
Woo! Spooky
Woo!
theme.
I'm rubbing my
Time
hands
for
together.
the spooky theme. Love the spooky theme.
The summer of horror continues.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this to be a riot.
Yeah! This is fair.
So this game is a 2 to 4 player game. We are going to be playing the 3-player variant. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to choose our setting. We haven't really discussed this off mic. We wanted to discuss this a little bit on mic, but it could be fantasy, modern day, steampunk, historical, sci-fi, anything in between. The only thing that matters is that there is a consensus on when and where this will take place. So, I've always played this modern day with two exceptions. But I am open to whatever setting y'all would like. I would just have to adjust my character's clothing to fit.
We merely must put them through the wardrobe. No, I'm fine with modern day. I've got the vibe in my brain.
I could do modern day if we wanted to make it slightly more like futurist, but in a grimy way, not like a Star Trek way, more like a more analog sci-fi sort of way. We could. Would that work for you, Corey?
Yeah, sure. Like punch cards mechanical like Nostromo, or?
Yeah, I was thinking like Nostromo, but still like with screens and stuff like that. but I don't know, I just don't I like, as fun as it is to play with sort of eldritch stuff in very clean spaces, which is fun for its own contrast, which, to be fair, we could do that too. But I was thinking more just sort of that kind of more industrial feeling sci-fi, like the Nostromo, like space trucker vibes.
Yeah, no, I'm picking it up. So sort of like the not necessarily down to the realms of like exposed wiring, but big pipes, small terminals, crunchy things.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much like the future as envisioned in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so grimy, retro-futuristic.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So that gives us like general genre. Are we planet side? Are we in a space station? Are we on a moon?
On a moon, though. Hang on.
Moon base.
Moon base. Moon base. All right.
Yeah.
Clapping my hands.
How about like a mining colony on like a big asteroid or a moon or something?
Let's go.
Yes. Absolutely.
We do love digging too deep.
Yes. All right.
Heck yeah.
Now that we've got our setting, the next thing we do is our characters. So the characters come in two flavors, either human or terror. And I think we should go in the order in the document and kind of introduce our characters.
All right. So I am going to be playing a terror, one of the extraplanar eldritch entities that claw at the boundaries of our world. And I have to specify their true form, and I'm going for a humanoid. The ones with two wide grins, two thin frames, and two dark eyes. Through either chance or choice, these terrors look largely like humans. The adjectives I have chosen for this terror are subtle, shadowed, and haunting. They use any and all pronouns, and the name I'm going to be using in this instance is Umbra.
Nice. I too have inhabited the role of terror. In this case, I've chosen an abstract one. Abstract here would be the ever-shifting, the formless, the nameless, representing less beings so much as concepts. Here it's made of colors that mortal minds cannot comprehend, an entity made of infinitely interlocking globes of fire, and the embodiment of the fear of the dark, all of which could be abstract terror. I will fully admit to cribbing in this case, as I was telling Jade and August before we started all this. I got King Giz in the mind. I have put together the color under blue. The adjectives that I've chosen for them are non-Euclidean, impossible, and melodious. Pronouns will be they, its.
Hell yeah. Which means that I will be playing the human of the bunch. I'm going to be playing Marnie Sands, she, her pronouns. The adjectives that I've chosen for her are scattered, cheerful, and suggestible. She is a young woman with blue hair with electric green dip-dyed tips, and an openly kind face. Her clothes, in this case, probably her mining jumpsuit, seems to be about a half size too big, but she has like brightly colored patches on it that she's either sewn on or ironed on. Humans also have a weakness, which we do not share with the other players. But Jade and Corey, if you don't mind deafening yourself, I would like to share my weakness with the audience.
Aye, will do.
Okay,
Deafening
no
now.
Marnie's weakness in this case is she desperately wants to belong. as cheerful as she is, she feels slightly to the left of the world and a little bit outside of it.
Now there is a mystery.
Yep. So the next stage, now that we've got our setting and we've got our characters, we actually start to play the game. So with the 3-player variant, we have 3 scenes for each terror where the terror will be courting the human, alternating turns during scenes. The human establishes the scene by describing where they are and what they're doing. Then the terror responds by using one of their moves. When the terror responds, you don't call out the name of the move. You simply describe what happens using the move as a guide. Either party may end the scene. Incidental characters may enter the scene as needed, but the scene should always be about the interaction between the human and the terror. With permission of the human, some harm may come to them, be it bodily, emotional, or psychological, though much or all of the harm must be undone by the end of the scene. So I think we're about ready to play. How do y'all feel about what we've got so far?
Feeling good.
Yep, ready to go.
All right, so who would like to have the first scene with Marnie?
Ooh, who should inherit the first dance? A wonderful question.
You go first, Corey. This is your first time playing.
Yeah, okay. I'll take a novice privilege.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this scene probably begins. We're in a mining colony on a moon. The moon, I'm going to say, has a pretty harsh atmosphere. There's a lot of like habitrails between different like geodesic domes that house the different like living quarters and like the opening to the mine. I don't think Marnie is a miner herself. I think she's one of the technicians that helps maintain the mining equipment topside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where she is now. I think that she's taken what amounts to third shift, maintaining some of the mining equipment. Everything's the lights are kind of dim. She's alone in a large, like, not hangar bay, but, you know, just a large warehouse type thing where all of the mechanical stuff is housed when it's not being actively used.
Okay. So I think in this case, there is, like, this is a place where there is, like, creaking machinery or other sorts of general, like, sounds of settling or, like, rust or otherwise. It's, imagine somewhere where you just have a lot of metal put up in one place, right? A lot of things that could move, that should move, that don't move, that must move.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along there, it's just kind of starts off almost lost in the noise, but slowly peeking forward from the darkness, there's a frequency, and it's something that can be, like, at first maybe dismissed as just coming from somewhere, you know, abstractly outside. Maybe it's traveling on, I won't say the wind, but the atmosphere, you know, carried from elsewhere within the dome. But it's a sound that's slowly building and approaching, and it's not just within ears necessarily that it comes forward, but it's something that also starts to be resonant with the machinery around. There are things that begin to whir, to click, to sing alongside this single pure frequency it's louder, it's approaching, it's sort of around in the room. I think in this particular case, almost as if some chord were hit. I think one of the machines starts to rise to life. Other ones are gathering and arranging themselves into almost a row. And there's a sort of a geometric machine that's proceeding down it. It sort of looks similar to like an abstracted chess piece, I would argue. Like a bishop sort of shape. As it sort of like slides across the floor and approaches you. You can hear from this that singing, it's coming almost from within the core of it. But it also keeps some distance, maybe like a few feet away. Though it has no eyes, you can feel it perceiving you. What do you think about this? How you reaching out to this? Are you reaching out to this?
So I think the very first thing that happens is Marnie drops all her tools, and they clatter to the floor, but I think the clattering maybe gets subsumed by the sound that this construct is presumably making.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Marnie runs, but I think that she freezes. You know, it's the fight, flight, or freeze response, and her brain and body choose freeze in that moment. She can feel herself being perceived, and an irrational part of her brain is like, if I don't move, it can't see me. But I don't know that the freeze lasts very long. Like, she comes to her senses after a few seconds of being frozen, and there's a part of her that wants to run, but she doesn't.
Yeah, something that she may notice also as the tools fall is the sounds they make as they make contact with the floor are not discordant. They harmonize with the tone that's being emitted. I think that this large bishop-like piece, there's a split down the middle, and out will step a being with that sort of looks like a mannequin. It has something that would suggest a suit of clothing, almost, something vaguely formal, on either side of its head, sort of side by side. It's not looking directly at Marnie, but there are two faces pitched upwards, both with eyes closed and nose pointed towards the ceiling. It offers out a sort of bow. The bishop coffin almost behind it quiets in tone once it's sort of determined that that's overtaking the rest of the room. It does not speak words, but it does show not necessarily a sign of remorse or of apology, but something like a formal greeting, as it puts what seems to be an arm to what seems to be a shoulder, and sort of inclines itself slightly, as if it were in a bow at the beginning of the dance. With that, it'll offer its hand out.
Marnie looks kind of agape and is just like, what the hell is going on? She doesn't take the hand, but she doesn't back away either. She's more mumbling to herself like, did I just fall asleep? Am I dreaming? What the hell is going on? And I think she does pinch herself to try to wake herself up, but obviously that doesn't work because she's awake. This is happening. She doesn't know what's happening, but it's happening.
Yeah, presumably it's happening. I think something else here is the darkness starts to look different from just darkness. You're sort of used to either like flickering lights off in the corners or just kind of the black that inhabits corners that seems to gather like dust. But it's almost as if there's something that's darker than just that. It swallows the vision. It makes it difficult to look away from this, which is there, bright, standing with a hand outstretched. I think all of the machinery assembling into rows, it begins to move sort of like an orchestra, but it senses here that that offer hasn't been taken, so it will stand at full form instead, turning one of those heads to look at Marnie a bit more directly. It tilts to one end, and there's a voice that comes almost from kind of the outer extremities of the hearing. Is this not a custom of yours?
Marnie kind of, I don't want to say she looks shocked because she's been looking shocked, but this seems to baffle her for a second. Like, you know, all of this strange stuff is happening, and then you have this voice being like, isn't this a custom of yours? And she doesn't really know how to parse this. So she says, yeah, but I mean, not here. This is... What are you doing here? What are you?
We don't touch hands when we meet. We don't shake them. Bends forward and offers a hand once again.
You usually say who you are first.
Considering that it will nod and stand straight once again, I thought it would be obvious once I appeared in front of you. Sort of gesturing out to the corners of the room. My name is not of sounds, but of colors. Do you not see them?
I just see what I normally see. What are you doing here? How did you get here?
Well, it was here that I saw something that I hadn't seen before. And wandering around the surface here, it is here that I see someone who could show me more of these things. You were the first. I saw you as I approached. If I share some of this with you, will you share some of what you see with me? I am, and it'll offer a hand again, finding words to put a name together. But I think this would be the color underblue. You can hear there's a terminal somewhere distantly that's whirring kind of discordantly against the rest of the sound as it is putting together words to communicate with.
Marnie kind of shakes her head and is just like, I'm Marnie, but I've got to go. I've got to go. I'll and she stumbles on her words for a second, and then she blurts out, I'll see you around. And then she like fucking hits the bricks. She does not try to pick up anything. She doesn't try to lock up. She just beats feet towards the main entrance and does not look back. But she definitely, after she gets through the door, which probably has a pretty thick bulkhead that might dampen the sound somewhat, she's like, see you around, what the fuck? And I think that scene.
Yeah, that's fair. I think everything melts away. What was there was no longer as soon as Marnie reaches the door.
Yeah. Poor Marnie is gonna try to sleep this off. Chalk it up to sleep deprivation.
Yeah, weird stuff happens at night shift. I get it.
Yep. Um, I think this might be favor, though. Like, Marnie's intrigued.
Sick.
Nice.
I just put a line down the middle of our map, so you can just put the ones that are for Corey off to one side and the ones that are for me off to the other.
Okay. Since Corey came first, I'll put the favor on the left side.
Sounds good. I'll mark that accordingly.
I've marked it in our doc.
Yeah.
All right. So I think the next scene happens a couple of days later. Marnie's been a little skittish about being in the mechanical bay, but she's been doing her job, and she's been kind of easing back into the swing of things. Like, she checks the corners when she's alone just to make sure there's nothing untoward happening with any of the machinery. But she's had a long day, and the lights are starting to brighten as her shift ends, and she is headed back to her quarters. I don't think there are very many people around in the corridors. Like, yeah, this is shift change, but it's still, late/early.
You head into your quarters, and I imagine it's like, in a lot of like the more modern hotels, your key card has to be put in a slot to put the light on.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea that that's maybe the case here. Like, you have your ID badge or whatever, and when it's holstered, everything will switch on.
Mm-hmm.
So other people can't mess with your shit, even if they get in your room. And the overhead light doesn't come on, but like the little light over the sink does. Or like a little lamp, a little like spotlight by the bed, like a reading light, is on. But the rest of the room is dark. But it isn't in a way that feels... Sometimes the dark can be really unsettling, but I think where you're tired on the end of a long shift, it's just sort of... It's almost cozy feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like almost soporific. Like, oh, this is nice kind of quality to it.
Yeah.
And go on.
No, I was just going to say, kind of like, when it gets dark, you get sleepy.
Exactly that.
I think Marnie, like, doesn't even try to turn on any of the other lights. She just, like, flops face down on her bed, which is, I imagine, like, a kind of narrow bunk that I don't think she bothered to make the previous quote-unquote morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like a little, like, computer screen or TV or both, like, combi thing sort of makes the sound of turning on, as if like the power's finally gotten to it, and you hear this soft voice that speaks maybe with the voice that the computer normally does, big like mother energy in Alien. It's just like, don't forget to take your shoes off.
Marnie's so sleepy that it doesn't quite register yet that this is out of place. And so she starts, like, kicking her shoes off, or trying to, but now I'm imagining that maybe she has, like, work boots. So it's like, try to kick off the work boots. It doesn't work. So she kind of groans and sits up and goes to untie the laces, and then the screen catches her attention, and she's just like, I didn't turn you on.
I think the screen flickers once or twice and then goes dark. And then the light by the sink goes off. So it's now just like the little light like at the head of the bed. And you know the door is locked. Like, it locks when you come in. Like, you put your key in the thing and everything shuts. But it suddenly feels like there is a presence in the dark section of the room by the door, by your sink.
Marnie tries to focus on the presence, and
You'll strain your eyes doing that.
Are you the color under blue?
I think there's this sound that's a little gurgled, and it's a little like the sound of something tearing. And I think it only occurs to you much, much long after the fact that it was a laugh. Because in the moment, it sounds nothing like one.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody's done a really bad attempt to make a laughing sound effect with whatever they could find and came up wanting. But an attempt was made. No. Some might say I am antithetical to it.
Who are you?
I am what is left after the light.
Marnie, like, swallows and says, How did you get in here?
Oh, the shadows. And you see a form moving. And it does look like a person. And you see, in that way that your eyes gradually get used to the dark. And if you turn the light off next to you, you might be able to get a better idea. But you think you can see an arm raised up in something almost like a wave. It is not often we encounter people that can perceive us. It is special. It draws us to them.
Is that why you're here? Because I can see you?
Sort of. And you can hear the smile.
What are you here for then?
A way in. And you are very clever.
A way in? You're already in my room. And there's like a nervous laugh.
Quite astute, Miss Sands. This is just a very small piece. I have tried to make it approachable. Not that you need to approach.
The silence is in character as Marnie, like, tries to perceive, but she's not willing to turn off that light above her bed. She even, like, shifts a little closer and says, So, you want in somewhere.
Yes.
And because I can perceive you, you want me to help?
Because you can perceive you can help. Not just anyone can. You are special.
Okay.
You should sleep, Marnie. I'm sorry to have disturbed you.
Yeah. I definitely should sleep. If I'm not already.
If that is a comforting thing to think of it, yes.
I think Marnie keeps an eye on you, but still takes off her boots and like swings her legs back up on the bed and then kind of snuggles down, but again doesn't go to turn off the light.
Very smart. And then the presence is gone, and the light above your sink flickers back on.
I think it's quite a while before Marnie actually falls asleep.
Fair. Fair enough.
I do think that's a point of favor, though.
Hell yeah.
Again, I think Marnie is intrigued. Trying to think of where she should be put into situations next, though.
Corey, I hope you don't mind that Umbra is fully aware of who the color under blue is.
No, that's fine.
It's just sort of like, oh, that motherfucker. Oh, yeah.
We all know this one.
Everybody knows the color under blue.
I will say, Umbra never actually gave the name Umbra, so Marnie's just going to call Umbra what's left.
Interesting.
Until otherwise corrected.
I dig it. For what it's worth, Corey, I have no problem with the color under blue knowing what and who Umbra is.
No, that's totally fair. I figured, that's the gloves are off there now.
I just thought there's something very fun about this, like, massive non-Euclidean concept of color and just like this little shadowy fuck, like, ugh. Just like the antithesis of it. So.
Nodding my head. Yeah. Yep.
Does this moon... I know we have, like, domes and stuff, but does this moon have a breathable atmosphere?
What if yes, but you can't be out too long? Like, it's got, it doesn't have anything bad for humans, but it's not like maybe there's not enough, it's not oxygen rich enough that you can be out there long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Like being at a really high altitude.
Yeah.
It's thin.
Okay, yeah.
It's in the midst of terraforming or something.
I think when the color under blue finds Marnie again, it is outside. This is probably maybe 2 days later, and Marnie has been thinking about what's been happening kind of nonstop, and so she decides to go outside to clear her head. Like, it's not to get fresh air, because there's not a lot of fresh air, but she's kind of hoping that being outside will help put things in perspective. Just a quick walk, maybe 15 minutes, and then she comes back in. But she's outside at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Like, it's sort of the feeling of cabin fever, sort of the fresh of breath air, I said in my brain and decided to go with. Okay. All right. Oh boy. Is Marnie the type to look up to the skies much? Especially in an atmosphere like this?
I think so. I don't know if Marnie's from a place with an atmosphere like Earth necessarily, but I think, like, there's just enough atmosphere to make the stars twinkle. So actually, yeah, Marnie's from a place where the stars don't twinkle.
Nice.
And so it's still a novelty when she can get out to see the way that the stars kind of almost pulse in time with the movement of the air in the atmosphere.
Nice. Yeah. It's interesting that you use the word pulse. So I think a lot about this. Like a star chart, right? Constellations, whatnot. You sort of start to see the lines between them, even when you don't have that in front of you, if you know where to find a North Star, you know where to find, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, that kind of stuff. You might be able to see the Summer Triangle, Orion's Belt, all that thing. I think as Marnie looks towards the sky, she can start to see, it's not lines, but there's a sense of association between the stars. Almost of like a harmony of the spheres kind of situation where there's something is connecting them, and there's that pulsing, and there's that frequency again, but instead of it being one that sings out across just a small room, instead it's like if she were to shift her gaze around at what she's looking at, the various stars, it's like song that comes from them, and it's almost beaming down in a focused manner towards her specifically. They glow, they pulse, they shift almost to positions where they shouldn't be for short bits, almost as if they're being like plucked like strings between 2 sets or 4 sets or other sets. They're almost trying to arrange into a shape. It looks almost like an arch, almost like a door. Some stars start to dim out as other ones emphasize. There's never a clear line drawn between them, but within the circle of stars, the entrance of stars, however you would put it, that sound, the frequency, the humming, focuses back down into the voice, once again, of the color under blue. And it will ask, "Do you not wonder what lies beyond here? Do you not wish to see past what your feet can travel?"
At that startles a laugh out of Marnie. And she says, I was born on Cooper 328. I've been other places than here.
But there are bodies that you pass by which you'll never be able to walk upon otherwise. You never wonder what lies below the surface of those, do you? It's almost as if a prism starts to descend from the sky. Rather than just being a triangle casting a rainbow, it has that sort of outside shape, but as Marnie can see through it, there's more in there. Cuts and refractions that are not something that can be manufactured by human hands. Something that reveals, when looking at this star or another star, it looks very much closer than it should be, an astronomical impossibility close to this moon.
I mean, sure, who hasn't wondered? But you can only get so close to a star before you get burned.
I don't need to worry about concepts like burning, or no longer ceasing to be. And I can show some of this to you, if you will take my gift. That prism, it sort of twirls. It's floating in the air in front of Marnie now, waiting to be taken.
I think Marnie starts to reach for it, and then, stops herself, and she's not sure where to look exactly. I think she addresses the prism when she speaks next, and she's like, "What's left said that I was special because I could perceive."
I think there is a gift and a curse, and certainly this is not for most to see, but I would like someone, anyone, to be able to, alongside me, if you would have it. I think as Marnie looks into that prism too, there is that sort of roiling, burning surface of a star contained very deep within. It looks infinitesimally small in the center of that prism, but it's not like looking at a sun would normally be. It doesn't burn the eyes like it would be if you just kind of walked outside and looked up in the sky and just stared right good hard at it. There are spots, there's places on it that are dancing, its movements, its flares. It's almost as if you're looking at a total solar eclipse, and you could see beyond just the corona. If perception is that special, I can give that to you, among so many other things.
So, you mentioned a solar eclipse, and this is going to totally break the mood, but it is exactly what Marnie's thinking of. Where there's...
That's what my character would do, is the thing.
There's a picture that floated around after the latest solar eclipse of a bunch of people in the water, and they had snatched up a fish and put solar eclipse glasses on the fish and aimed it at the sun. And that's what Marnie feels like right now.
Very good, though. It's very good.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Oh, to see beyond your station.
And I think that's what impels Marnie to touch the crystal. Just very tentatively, just the very brush of fingertips. Almost as though she's concerned that she's going to get burned.
I think it does a bit. It's extremely hot. It's almost uncomfortable to handle, but it's the temperature and not the pain with the temperature. There's an inherent warmth radiating from it that you should not be able to hold, but you are. And I think if Marnie were to bring that up, she would see almost within the sun that's contained. I think along with that too, it's not just red hot, it's not just white hot. It doesn't go beyond temperature spectrums, but there's something more, a color that doesn't fit within the mind, that's roasting deep within the core of that sun.
Marnie just snatches her hand away immediately and like turns away for a moment, but then after the shock of like the unexpected, half expected heat, and the way that her eyes can't quite wrap themselves around the colors within the sun, she looks back and she says, "If I take this, what happens next?"
It is your invitation to come here again, and if you so will it, to enter the skies with me.
At that moment, something starts to beep at Marnie's waist, and she goes, "Oh, shit. I've been out here too long." And she takes the prism, just like, kind of snags it, and stuffs it into one pocket on her jumpsuit, and says, I've got to go. I've been out here too long."
Yeah, the stars will disassemble, and I think that prism on touch, one, the sun within it dims, but two, for it being so angular, it feels almost like a marble of glass to hold.
Love it. Love an object that its physicality doesn't quite make sense.
Love to touch a thing that doesn't feel how it looks.
Yeah. So that's a point of favor.
Yay. I'm still stumbling because Jade. Damn you, Jade.
What? What?
Let me be your eldritch sugar daddy. Thank you.
Is that not what it was saying?
It's not incorrect, but also, dang it.
I haven't been paying attention to the chat. I completely missed that. Jesus Christ.
Possibly for the best. You may have broken in the moment. You were doing such a wonderful job.
I was trying very hard not to corpse, yeah.
You are such a professional, Corey. Good one. I heard the slight hitch of you reading it, and I was like, got him.
Got me. Target struck precision. Nailed it. Dead on bullseye.